Now, whether you are new to traveling the world only 1 mile at a time, or you're raising a family with thousands of memories made at a campsite, this podcast is all about the people, journeys, and the stories that are shared. So imagine this life's journey. Have kids, sell your home, and leave everything. I know, right? Completely nuts. Talk about taking a leap of faith. But that's what Chris and Molly, aka the Flying Hens, where you can follow their blog at theflyinghens.com or look up any social platform, Facebook or Instagram, and look for the Flying Hens. You will find them. Now, I recognize them immediately because they make some of the most amazing videos I've ever seen, and they have an amazing life's journey that I think all of you will love learning about in their Heartland Cyclone toy hauler with their beautiful family. So, Crazy Chris and Crazy Molly, aka the Flying Hens, welcome to the Where's Willie podcast.
Thank you, Willie. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
So, because I've already set the foundation that you guys are all crazy, let's start out with this. Kind of tell us your story, married couple, kids. Where did you guys both grow up? And do you have any experience prior to what you're doing now with RVing or camping?
Well, no experience whatsoever.
Okay.
We rented an RV a few months before we bought this one, did a trip. It turned into just a fun vacation we had. We had no idea at that time it would become our life. But we grew up kind of all around a little bit, Texas, Florida. Once we got married, we moved to Ohio, ended up back in Texas. And we traveled a bit, a couple, and as a family, we traveled a bit. Growing up, I traveled quite a bit as a child as well. So we kind of got that travel bug.
Okay.
Chris is a commercial airline pilot, and we made travel a priority. We were always flying different places, either on vacation or the kids and I would join him on a trip. That's how I started our blog, was to highlight all of our travels. And it's just in our blood. We even, when we had kids, I was writing all about how to travel with your kids and kid-friendly destinations. And then we always homeschooled our kids too, because it just fit with our mindset of just wanting to go on adventures all the time.
Helped with traveling, the flexibility to just kind of go whenever, especially on a standby basis as an airline employee. And then from there, it also becomes a great way to teach your kids through experience, not just sitting down reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So, and one of the things that I want to ask, as we're peeling the onion here and getting to kind of know your life's journey, and it's been truly that this pandemic is an easy way to say, owning a house with matching green lawns in that subdivision and being like a box troll where you work all day, you come home, garage door shuts, you don't even talk to your neighbors. Maybe now's the time to go. We can't talk to anybody. We can't do anything. Maybe we travel and hit the open road. You guys made this decision, though, before the pandemic, correct?
No, we made this decision mostly because of the pandemic.
Okay, so when did you guys sell your home and go, we're going full mobile and we are going to raise our family in an RV?
We closed on our house at the end of July.
Okay.
We have to back up though, because so the pandemic really hit in March. Everybody knows that March was like this big shutdown and lasted for a good month of like, you can't leave your house, there's no toilet paper. And Chris wasn't working as a pilot. Like they just shut down flights and like they didn't need him to work.
Well, we lost 95% of the passengers. You just can't run an airline that way. So I have flown this year maybe 5% of what I normally do in a year.
Wow.
And we were just thinking, what do we do?
Near the end of April, I would say, we were like, this is not good. This is not looking good for your job. Like,
it's not short term.
We know, like, just the history of airlines, like, you can't do a whole month-long, 2-month, like, and you don't even see the end in sight.
We were looking down the barrel at a furlough,
Okay.
basically. And so the idea became, all right, well, how do we conserve cash? How do we put ourselves in a position financially that's, the best possible thing for the family, and, being a good steward with our money? And
we had just bought this house.
Oh, a year ago.
A year ago. We had just moved to Texas, and
Great
it was a pretty large house. It was probably more house than we needed. And we didn't even love the house, to be honest. And with him not working, or like a potential furlough, we were saying, we can't really afford this house. We could if we both like got temporary jobs. It would change our whole, like,
put the kids in school. We wouldn't be able to travel.
It would change our life.
We didn't want to fundamentally change the family in that way, because it would be less family time.
Sure.
When we decided we actually might be able to do this, and then decided to actually do it, we knew that we were setting ourselves up to be more together, and, well, really all the time, in 400 square feet as a family.
And it was such a contrast from our big house. It was like almost 4,000 square feet. We'd had to scream upstairs to try to talk to children. Like, it was too much space. I know that sounds crazy, but we were too separated in that house. And I think that first RV trip we took, where we rented an RV earlier this year, it really opened our mind. Like, we could do this. This would be fun. And so that's how that idea came to be. And we're like, let's just do it. And we put our house on the market in early June, and it sold that day to the first people who came through the house. It's unreal. And then I think like 2 days later, we bought our RV.
Yeah.
So July happens, and one of the things that I'm guessing, other than your one experience, there has to be some hesitation as a couple when you're sitting there going, all right, we just sold the house. That, to me, in my mind, I don't think selling the house is the issue. I think it's becoming a minimalist and really, all right, what is it that we actually need versus what is it that we think we need? And we were way wrong. We didn't need that. So can you talk about how you sell all what you have, the material, right? Furniture's gone. So you got clothing for your back. You've got soap and water. You've got, the wastewater tank tubes. So you can handle that part of the business. What has been, and I just want to compartmentalize, each of these questions. When it comes to not knowing and going all in, what would you say has been probably the biggest learning in terms of what you've realized as a necessity for everybody listening that is going, we want to be like the Flying Hens? Well, a little FYI, here's if we were both to say it, and Molly, Chris, you guys, Chris, you might say, tool-wise, here's what you're going to need. Molly, you may say, all right, the boys are gross. You're going to need to shower. You're going to need soap. So if both of you could take a minute for everybody listening that says, hey, we agree with them. Why have this big mortgage payment? We can, live below our means and see the world. What would you guys say in your learnings? What are the essential things that you have to have if you're going to go full time? And you don't have to be specific, but I'm just saying in general terms, like enough outfits for what, a week?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and I had like this long checklist in that month that I was downsizing everything. And it really was a week's worth of clothes for everybody. The kids, it's hard with their age. They get really dirty really fast. But I had, I have about like 7 pairs of pants, 7 pairs of shirts, a little bit more underwear because, kids are gross. Oh, no. But, and then, so I had like winter clothes set aside for that quota and like summer clothes. So we have 2 bins that I'll just pull out the winter stuff when we need the winter stuff. we live in such excess when we have a house with all sorts of closets. In an RV, you don't have much space. And we made it a priority to have a washer and dryer in our rig. So it makes doing laundry super convenient. That's my must-have item is my washer and dryer. And then like kitchen stuff, you would not even believe, like you don't need all your kitchen stuff. I had a huge kitchen full of stuff, and now we have 5 plates, 5 bowls, 5 forks, like all those things, and just minimal kitchen stuff too. And then everything else you don't really need.
Wow.
Just we downsized our like medicine cabinet, our toy collection, everything into small little bins.
Yeah, and getting to know you guys, and we talked a little bit offline. So full disclosure, of course, I'm thankful that you chose a Heartland Cyclone toy hauler. However, I know that there's opportunities, and the biggest opportunity for those that go all in need to realize, and I will never say as the national brand manager, you buy an RV, I don't care what brand it is, you'll have no problems. That is incorrect. I think the biggest opportunity that I have that we talked about was giving information as soon as you pick your unit up. You need to have a PDI done first. You need to make sure that you clearly understand how everything works. More importantly, you need to understand how to fix certain things.
Yes.
So when it comes to then the maintenance, what has been, I don't want to say the biggest challenge, but has there been a lot of difficulty, Chris or Molly, where you guys just maybe didn't know how to do something and you had to learn?
I have a pretty good background in building things, fixing things, repairing things. The 2 houses ago, we ripped it apart and I built it back up from the studs myself. With that knowledge, it will make this journey easier. We've had a number of problems. I mean, we're in this 4 months now. One thing I can recommend outside of just the maintenance aspect is things are going to break. Things are actually going to come on your brand new RV broken, because these things, just to get here, it went 1,000 miles down the road. Like things shake, things rattle. We've had a number of issues, whether it be we actually had something from a miswiring problem to just things falling apart, trim coming down, that sort of thing. You're going to need to be flexible and understand that these things are a rolling earthquake. And that's going to happen. So I have, like, one of the things that we're about to do is put on an air compressor. That's going to be fantastic because your tires are going to be the biggest thing you're going to need to take care of on the rig. Keep them inflated. So we're doing that. It's also going to double as a nailer, like a nailing gun, because trim is probably what comes apart or loose the most outside of screws. Just go back, go through, double check things every now and then and just see if there's loose screws. I know we're missing a few screws here and there that have rattled out. It just happens. These things are not built like houses because they can't be, or else you can't tow them.
Sure. And, as I've come into this role and I've been transparent with you both, those are the kind of things where if people don't realize this, like one of the examples, people say to me, well, hey, you guys know these problems are happening because you're delivering them. Nope. So one of the things that our president has done, and credit to Ryan Jude, for years, Heartland RV hadn't had a dedicated PDI facility, an independent third-party facility. Credit to Ryan, he recognized we have to invest and do that. So, when the acquisition happened and Thor Industries, bought us and acquired us, that was one of the first things that, credit to Thor Industries, they invested millions of dollars. So now all 3 brands, Heartland, Cruiser, and DRV, have their own independent facility, independent workers that are not on the production line, not getting paid to, hammer these things out and just send them on their way. But even still, after you go through the PDI process for us at the factory, we do not have drivers that deliver to the dealers. And I'm not bad-mouthing these third-party delivery people.
Right.
But you know as well as I do, to your point, I don't care the pitch of the thread, the length of the thread. A screw in a stud is only going to hold so tight when you're driving. I believe they're supposed to be at 55 mile an hour on the highway, but I've seen these things going 70. And then you've got crosswinds, and then you've got a couple bumps in the road. Even with improved axle technology, you can only do so much when you have a GVWR over 18,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So again, I don't make excuses. We're striving to get better. To your point, what is a typical week like then from a homeowner to now? I guess what's kind of the the SOP that you guys go through then? Let's say you arrived at a certain location. Where are you guys currently in the world?
We're in Texas. We're in East Texas. This is where my family lives, and this is where our old home is, right down the road. And we chose this kind of as our base to come back to because my family is here. So we're here for the holidays. We're getting some RV projects done before we set out again. So we were on the road for 4 months, nonstop travel. It was so fun, but we needed to come back here and reset. So we'll be back on the road in a few weeks. But
so do you guys recommend then? And again, this goes back to just people getting to know you guys as a resource. I mean, I think you guys you could be famous with the videos that you guys produce. I think you've got a great blog, again, the flyinghens.com, where you're starting to build out that kind of like, hey, you know what? We've had some learning here. Let's share this and allow it to help other people. Would one of the recommendations be for anybody that wants to go all in full time that they do either have what do we call it? Mooch docking, like a family location or a spot where they can kind of recenter before they go off.
Yeah.
You do recommend that people have that?
I would recommend that. I mean, you need some sort of a place to come back to and relax a little bit, unless you can go find a place out in nature that you can stay for a month and just kind of settle. That would be good. But
it's nice to be able to park for like a few weeks at a time. To we were nonstop travel, and then to like have a break in all of that, because I think when you're traveling nonstop, we were moving anywhere from 3 to 6 days.
Oh wow!
And like we're trying to at least keep a schedule with the kids with their schoolwork and but balancing that also with having adventures, going hiking and that kind of thing. It gets overwhelming at times. So.
It's also nice because this is a place where we have a very tiny storage unit. It's got my tools and a few sentimental things like old pictures.
Yep.
And so my tools that I have, it's nice to have a place to come back here, knock out some projects. We buy a brand new RV, and what do? We renovate it. Yep. I just, it doesn't make sense, but hey,
but it does make sense. And I want to speak to that. A lot of people say, hey, why do you got 14 or 15 different floor plans? We are trying to create a window of options for every type of demographic. People in their 50s, couples, coaches, people with kids who are crazy like you that want to go all in. But to your point, it's not custom to you. And just like I say on this podcast, we're all about sharing life's journeys. Well, everybody's journey is different. And so no brand, no manufacturer has we've got the floor plan that everybody wants, because you can't put people in a targeted thing. So I do understand why people mod after they purchase, because you got to make it fit for you. You guys might be people that really embrace the outdoors, so you're going to modify your coach to accommodate that lifestyle. When we talk about and I want to say this, and of course it's emotional because it makes me feel good. As parents, children never asked to be here. And just like, we had parents, I have amazing parents. I lost my dad a year ago. He was my best friend. My mom, I love her. She's like Dorothy Spornak from the Golden Girls. So I was always scared of her, but she's been the best mom. And I'm kidding. But they got me here. And as you guys are on your journey as parents through a pandemic to which nobody can relate to, and like I said, I don't want to get emotional, but this question is going to make me feel good. As you guys sit together and reflect on what your children have been able to experience with their mother and dad since July, what would be the thing that both of you, I wanted you to take a moment and think about? What has been that one experience where you guys were just like, this is the best decision we've ever made? Excuse me.
All right. Well,
has there been an experience where you're just like, this is?
It's almost every single day. I feel that way. This is something that I've never had a moment of regret over. Adventuring and traveling has always been in our like make and
DNA
of our family. And we just kind of shifted gears from flying into RVing. So it kind of looks similar, but like we were when we were flying, we wanted to bring our children to different parts of the world and have them experience those things. Same thing. Our country is so beautiful and there's so many amazing places to go explore. The freedom that we have to go all over. I mean, in the last 4 months, we've literally been almost all over the country. We move pretty fast, but like seeing places like the Grand Teton and dipping our toes in the Pacific Ocean in California and going to Arizona and in Utah, like just the beauty of those places, watching the sunrises, being together with our kids, and experiencing all of that together. Unbelievable opportunity that we've had in this unprecedented time. Like Chris, before he was working like 5 days a week, he'd be gone flying somewhere. He'd be kind of absent from our family. I mean, it was the kids and I, and that was fine because that's what we signed up for as an airline family. But this, because of COVID's impact on the airline industry, we look at this time as a blessing. Just being able to have that gift of this wonderful time together as a family. And I'm not gonna lie, there are times with our children that we would not want to be in the same 429 square feet. But like, for the most part, I think this experience of living closer in a small space together has been good for us as a family. And yeah.
Well, I mean, and to go along with that, exactly that point of there is going to be no other time in my career until I retire that I will be home this much. Yeah. And I could take this opportunity to live in that old house, make ends meet, maybe barely, by going and working somewhere, or I can embrace this as a blessing to spend as much time as I can with my kids that I don't get normally. And it has been awesome to see that, to see my kids in all their glory, in their bad and their good. But one example is we're up on the wall in the Badlands, boondocking. And so if you're not familiar, the Badlands is this awesome rippled, just canyon-like landscape and in South Dakota. And we're up on this cliff, this little mesa that you park 15 feet from the edge of the cliff, and you're overlooking this at sunrise and sunset. It lights up, and my daughter, I just see her out there. She grabbed a pad of paper. She's 6 years old, and crayons, and she goes and she just starts coloring the landscape, just creating this awesome little landscape drawing. And that's something that normally I wouldn't necessarily see. I wouldn't see that creativity in action. I wouldn't see that desire to just go and do that. She's usually a bit crazy and like very high energy, but it was really cool to see her settle down and just enjoy that moment.
That's awesome, you guys. Like, that's the coolest answer I've ever heard. So with that being said, and kind of along the spirit of, continuing to share life's journey, because you guys have no choice. I'm like the COVID virus, I'm not leaving you guys. I'm going to continue following you and supporting you and promoting you guys. So when we talk about, after the holidays then, and we talk about continuing the life's journey, 2 questions. First one can just be a yes or no. Let's say airlines pick back up, the vaccine's working, and we go back to normal life, to which, I flew a lot as well. So I would love to see you at 30,000 feet. That being said, if we get back to normalcy and life, yes or no, will you try to continue living out of an RV?
Yes.
Okay. So my next question, regardless of then what happens, because of the experiences that are very clear to me, that have warmed you guys' heart and said, this is what life and living is all about. Your future journey, what do you guys have scheduled or on the horizon for 2021, maybe the first 3 months of the year? And I see that Molly's already grinning ear to ear. So where are some of the destinations or things that you guys are looking to be going to in the months ahead?
Well, January, February is going to be spent in Florida. So we haven't exactly figured out how we're going to go, whether it's going to be all boondocking, whether it's going to be, we love to boondock. It's absolutely just awesome.
Really? Okay.
But yeah, we actually just added a whole bunch of solar to the rig, great battery bank, so we can go without generator. Okay, I get sidetracked. Sorry. But January, February is going to be in Florida. We have a lot of friends and family that we'd love to go and see and visit that we haven't caught up with in a long time. My parents are still there. Okay. And so that's going to be
it's sunny and warm.
And sunny and warm.
Yeah.
The Keys sound really nice right now.
Yeah. And then
we're coming back here for about 3 months.
Our son plays baseball, and we wanted to, if he chooses, we could alter our plans still, but I think he still wants to do baseball season. So we're going to have him do that. And then after baseball season, we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we can do Alaska next summer.
So we're hopefully, maybe leave here early June and start making our way up towards the Pacific Northwest and maybe be in Alaska by August.
Wow.
That would be really awesome. Really cool.
But we have a backup plan if that doesn't work out.
We'll just hang out in the West. We love the West.
Right.
And if we do go to Alaska, great. We'll come back down and spend the fall in the Pacific Northwest. Sounds awesome. And then who knows from there.
Yeah.
So that brings me to another question. That sounds awesome. So next year is going to be exciting. So my next question is, and you hit on it, you love boondocking. So for everybody listening, that means no shore power, no dump station right where you're at. Yep. You gotta really live out of the rig for a few days. Mm-hmm. Can you explain, I guess, from the positives versus the negatives versus being at, a given campground where you're backing up and you're with 300 other families?
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you guys love boondocking more than being at a campground?
The views that are possible with boondocking are unmatched by any campground out there. It doesn't matter. I don't necessarily want to look out my window and see an RV 10 feet away or away like 5 feet away. Sorry. But we, the best example of that is, the Badlands, when we were up on the wall, we were in Grand Teton. We were parked at the base, basically, of, or just across the valley from Grand Teton, the main mountain. Our RV, our main window here, just looked out and had this beautiful view. Yeah. And it was free. You have to live a little differently than you do at a campground. You have to be very conservative with everything you do, power, water, waste.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you have to take very short showers if you shower.
Military style. Every 5 days.
Yeah.
Now, if you do boondock, I guess what is the law or the rules of that? Like, can you just go on any property and park, or how do you know where you can and cannot boondock? And can you maybe just explain that for the listeners?
Oh, sure. Well, there's a lot of public land out there, especially out west. You go west of the Rockies, and a lot of that land is federal, like Bureau of Land Management land, National Forestry land, all that. And there are many areas in that you can just park for free. We go to a couple different sites out there. Campendium, The Dirt
apps.
is a great app that's out there. We haven't tried that one, but we've heard so many good things about it. Just different resources to find these locations. And, some places you can, and then some places you're still not allowed, even though it's federal land.
And it's not like you're the only ones out there. A lot of people are concerned sometimes with the safety aspect of like you're in a random location, but there are other RVers that and campers that boondock. And not only the views, but the cost of it is free.
What's free?
You can't beat free, especially with the views. So I think that's the top reasons why we love boondocking. Obviously, there's great reasons to stay at a campground too, like having free water. Like free flowing water. You can take the longest shower ever.
Like we have our lights on right now.
Yeah, and we're not worried about power. But yeah, I would prefer boondocking any day.
So as I invite all the listeners and the viewers to follow you guys, I'm going to ask you just do me one favor. Continue making and posting amazing videos, because I don't know if you have a drone or what. The videos, I literally called our director of marketing, Leslie. I'm like, this is incredible. The one where I see the mountain, I'm like, that's like art. Like, it's beautiful.
Well, unfortunately,
videos like that.
We did have a drone.
It died.
It's currently at the bottom of Lake Powell right now.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Okay.
See, there's things that you also learn along the way, steep learning curves of newbie mistakes, and I learned some great things along the way. But I flew it behind a large rock, lone rock specifically, and lost reception, and then it returned to home right into the rock.
Ooh, okay.
So we're in the market for another drone. But yes, that's a lot of ways how we do it. But we do love the video making.
I love the video making.
I make the video, you put it together.
Yeah.
All right, and then one more thing I want to add relative to your blog, theflyinghens.com. Is there going to be content that you guys are working on over the holidays that is going to be out there? So again, all the listeners, if they want to tune in, do you have some things that you're going to be, bringing up onto the blog here in the next couple of weeks and months?
I'm just about to put out a blog about the top things that we've learned and tips and advice over the first 4 months of our full-time travels. And then I'm going to have a blog about from our perspective, the most useful RV products we've come across and purchased for our travel journey so far.
Whether it be for boondocking or just in general, that sort of thing.
And then, probably a few more weeks after that, it's going to be all about boondocking. So, and all the things that you need to know, questions answered, that kind of thing.
Well, Chris, Molly, I want to thank you both for taking time. Credit to your beautiful children, how they've managed to stay quiet. You can let them out of the cage we're going to wrap this up. To everybody listening, if you want to meet an amazing couple that are going to share their life's journey, they're going to be transparent and honest. They're going to tell you the good. They're going to tell you about the rain. They're going to tell you about the storms too. Please, I invite all of you, find the Flying Hens on Instagram. You're on Facebook too?
Yes.
We are.
Okay. Yep. Find them on Facebook, the flyinghens.com blog. Thank you all for tuning in and learning a little bit more about the Flying Hens and their life's journey. Thanks, everybody. I'm Will Miller, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Launching Life's Journeys podcast, brought to you by Heartland RVs. Stay tuned for our next destination.